Time is the most valuable asset in our lives. If we've lost time, we've lost life, we've lost everything. And now is the time that we act as though time is the most important component in our life. Students tell me, sir, time nahi milta hai. My reply to them is, ऐसा नहीं है कि time नहीं मिलता है. ऐसा है कि हमने अपने जिंदगी के priorities को सही तरीके से align नहीं किया है. The problem is that students have not aligned their goals and their priorities in place. So let's begin by doing that. My first question is, what is that you want to achieve by the end of today, by the end of this week, by the end of this month, by the end of December? Do you have this clear cut definite goals? Because जिंदगी में बैठे बैठे ना बहुत सारे आइडियाज आ जाते हैं, लेकिन सारे आइडियाज जो आता है वो करना जरूरी थोड़ी है. So we need to align, we need to put it in place, we need to write it down and then decide कि अब कौन सा करना है, बाद में कौन सा करना है और कभी भी कौन सा है जो करना ही नहीं है. We need to align this. So it's good to be ambitious and it's good to be over ambitious, but it's very important to know what your goals are. So my first tip to you is to study in multiples of 20 minutes. Do not sit more than 20 minutes at one go. Doesn't matter what you're doing and where you're doing this, whether you're preparing, self-studying, practicing, or even if you're giving your examination, you will study for 20 minutes and you'll take a stretch break, you'll take a small break and get back into it again. So when you study for 20 minutes, you put your entire focus onto it. We call this as the Pomodoro technique. In a video that I released last year, which really went viral, I had mentioned about this technique, the Pomodoro technique, to study for 20 minutes, to take a break, and then to come back in 20 minutes. Now, let's be honest, doesn't matter whether you have tutorials, homework, assignment, journal, college, classes, doesn't matter what you have, 20 minute nikalne ko hoega. You will be able to remove 20 minutes to do what you want to do. And again, you will get busy. You may get sucked into life, into lectures, into problems, into journals, into everything else. And again, you'll be able to remove these 20 minutes. Sometimes, some days, you may not have 3 hours continuously. You may not have 2 hours continuously, you may not have 1 hour continuously, but that is the time when you squeeze out the 20 minutes, because these 20 minutes and multiples of these 20 minutes will give you a lot of time. So study and focus based on the Pomodoro technique. And here's what I get the most as to students' feedback, that sir, we cannot concentrate well, अपना focus कम है sir, या फिर sir थक जाता है by the end of the day. And I think the solution to this is divided into two parts. One, the food that you eat, the water that you drink, and the sleep that you have. That's one aspect of it, and it should be right? You should stay hydrated, you should have the right kind of food, and you should sleep well, because this will help your body to be agile and flexible and put your focus in place. And the second aspect is, are you meditating well? Chitta che ekagrata. Are you having a focus of the mind which is well, so that even in the time that you have, you are able to put in laser sharp focus to get what you want and not get distracted and diverted into things that are unwanted because your focus is not in place. So meditation is important, and along with meditation, a 20-minute physical activity. So on a power-packed day, on a day when you have no time, it's important that you follow these regimes and structures so that your body is fit, your mind is positioned well, and your focus is in place, so that the next day when you have time, you are ready and fit and do not have the hangover of the tiredness of the previous day. So I repeat, good sleep, good food, or sufficient amount of water, meditation, and of course exercise. So time management is a myth. Task management is everything. What is the reason I told you food, water, exercise, meditation is important? So that now you can do more in less time. You know, the champion is not someone who can run the 100-meter in sufficient time. The champion is someone who can really beat time and do the same task in less time. So the question here is, how do you multiply time? How do you finish the same equation in less time? How do you use the right tips, the right techniques, the right answers? It's not about reading this much. It's about knowing how much to read to get the right mark. So smart learning techniques are important. These tips, these techniques, these answers, these short notes, these shortcuts, these tricks, these techniques are so important to have in your bag when you sit to study. It's not the hard worker who normally succeeds, it's the smart worker. So how do you add more time to the time that you have? That's a trick. That's an asset, and that is what you learn. When you learn that, you're able to focus better, you're able to concentrate better, you're able to achieve more in the allotted time. So like I said, time management is a myth. Task management is key. And for task managing, for managing your task, it's important for you to know at the end of the day, what do you want to achieve? At the end of the video, what do you want to achieve? At the end of this month, what do you want to achieve? In the subject of the universe, in the topic of law of attraction, they say what you think you become, what you think you attract. So what is it that the students of the present age is thinking most of the time? Are they thinking that physics is difficult, maths में time जाता है, chemistry complicated है? Are they thinking time नहीं है, मुश्किल है, compact है, competition बहुत है? So whatever you're thinking, you're creating more. So my question to you is, how do you change this thought process? How do you think now from the possibility of there is time, I need to attract it. There is time, I need to create it. How do I see where the time is? So one of the major aspects of creating time is to change that mindset. That is when you begin to live the full scope of yours, the full potential of yours. That is when you create a possibility beyond the existing scope, the mindset, the creating more time mindset that comes to a point of knowing not everything that comes to you you need to do. What are the things that you can delete from your system? What are the things that you can delegate from your system that frees up some area in your time span, that frees up some tasks so that you have more time to do the same tasks again. So here's one valuable question that I'm going to ask you. What are the things that you cannot do tomorrow and that can save 20 minutes of your day? What are the list of things that you choose not to do and that can save 20 minutes? And imagine if it can save 3 slots of 20 minutes, that is adding an extra hour into your life. Could be WhatsApp, could be social media, could be hanging around with your friend, could be deciding to sit for a class which you know is of no use, could be taking that long turn, could be doing something absolutely stupid which wastes your time. So think about it. What could it be that you could just decide not to do? What could it be that you could say no to? Saying no to something means saying yes to something which you have defined as priority in your life. How could you now create time, more time, so that you can address your tasks because you are now deciding to say no to something that consumes your time? In a competitive world, in a world which is pressed on time, in a system where you have so much to achieve and so little time in a day, in a system where you have so many commitments, how do you manage this time? How do you manage your task? It's simple, to follow the laws of FTR. First time right. So students study something and then after 6 months they study again because they completely forgot about it. Now that's because you didn't do it right the very first time. If you do it right the very first time, the second time when you do, you need not do it with that intensity. You can just quickly go through it and browse through it and get the answers. So the trick is simple. The trick is to know what to do, how to do, how much to do, and how to do it right the very first time. So there are going to be days when you don't have time at all, but then there are going to be days where you have time, like a holiday. You need to find out where the holiday is. You need to find out which lectures you can bunk. You need to find out where are the gaps where you can remove these 20 minutes, go to the library, go to a coffee shop and sit and study. That is called as strategy. That is called as creating time. How do you create time? How do you decide which lecture to bunk? How do you decide which day to cut the lecture so that you can use that time and put in a 9 hour that day and study? So use this strategy, use these techniques. And sometimes it's also possible that you cannot say no to a friend or no to a social commitment, and that's when you procrastinate. That's the use of creative procrastination, where you know you can't say yes because if you say yes, you're going to lose time, and sometimes you can't say no because if you say no, you may lose a relationship. But your goals are important, and therefore you must say no. But say it no in a better way. Conscious procrastination, creative procrastination. Use procrastination in your favor. Well, we are living in a world where we are restricted only by our thoughts. What thoughts can you now cultivate? What more creative ideas can you generate so that you can create more time with yourself, so that in the existing environment you can focus on kahan time milta hai so that you can study. Remember, we are only limited by our thoughts. So how about expanding these thoughts? How about creating more in what is available? And that's the winner. And that is how you can cross some boundaries which you've set for yourself and go beyond to create a goal, a better world, better marks, better grade, better career.